Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series as well as the Umbani Chronicles. And I am joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She's the author of Adalithia, Elendil, and Almond Tree's Magic. Check her works out if you like sci-fi and fantasy books. And we are also joined by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He is the graphic illustrator and creator of Eve of Insurrection and Eve of Reclamation. Also, he did the graphic novels for Ancient Illumination, and we are working on the Umbani Chronicles prologue comic, as well as Arrow J. Knight's Jericho's Bane comic. He did that as well. How you doing today?
I'm good. Ready to talk about Gray Man. It's Gray
Gray
Man time.
Man. That is what we are here to discuss today. Gray Man, starring Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. We also got Billy Bob Thornton and what's the lady's name? Alfred Woodard, the older sister. She's in there. This was kind of an interesting movie to me.
And Ana de Armas. I think I said her last name wrong.
Yeah.
Ana
You got it. Ana
de Armas.
Yeah, Ana de Armas. Yeah.
Yeah, she's also in it. It was an interesting movie. Kind of cliched and predictable at some points. Obviously, it's with like a kind of spy versus spy theme. So spoilers for those of you that have not watched it on Netflix. Ryan Gosling is basically a hired hitman for the government that Billy Bob Thornton's character plucked out of prison. And the mission that we get introduced to after we see all that unfold is that they basically sent him after another agent within his own sector. Another gray man.
Sierra Ford.
Yeah, Sierra Ford.
Who's also played by a guy who was like always who was in he was in Captain America. He was like one of the henchmen, and I'm like,
so what was he? Crossbones?
No. He wasn't Crossbones. He was Crossbones' henchman or other friend, but he was like one of
in
those
the elevator scene.
Yeah, he got whooped in the elevator scene. That was hilarious.
And
with Crossbones.
Wasn't he the Russian mercenary from Batman in like Batman vs.
He was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, and got smoked in that too.
Yeah, he got beat the heck up in that one. Yeah, so it's an interesting film. I liked it in general. There were certain things that I was kind of disappointed on, mainly because I felt they didn't go as far as they could have with Chris Evans. I mean, he was. What
do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Douchey character villain. They purposely made him so, but I wanted them to go further. It was like they went up to the line and said, no, and almost Disneyfication, they didn't let him go as far as he should have to have a true 180-degree turnaround, because we've typically only seen him in the hero role. Aside from Scott Pilgrim, he was the douchey boyfriend, one of the boyfriends in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
So, question: what do you mean by a 180 turnaround? Because he's the bad guy. So, did you want to see him not be as bad, or
no? I want him to be worse. I want him to be worse.
He wasn't. I mean, he was pretty. He's pretty sniveling and annoying. He was like,
and like enjoyed. It wasn't like this was a job to him. He enjoyed hurting people.
Yeah, he didn't have any empathy. I mean, he's pretty much that white guy. Just I'm here messing everybody up.
For me, I wanted him to go further than he did, though.
Interesting.
Like in what way? Like what could he have done to go?
Like more violent. You wanted to be more violent, didn't you?
Yeah, more violent, more sadistic. Because most of the stuff is just hinted at. The first guy you see, he's about to either shock or do something with the pliers. You see him put them down. You see him use them later on Billy Bob Thornton's character. But it seemed like a lot of his stuff was mainly hinted at and talked about. They did a tell, not show, because the other agent was kind of complaining about how bad he was and how kind of off the rails he was, and the reason why she didn't want him on the mission. But you saw very little of that. They alluded to more than what he actually did.
I feel like we got they showed us how he carries himself in the present tense of like, I didn't need to see him. Like, I didn't need to see him be this gruesome person because he already kind of was in a different way. For instance, like how he kind of like he disregards other human beings' lives. Like
Yeah.
he literally is like, all right, I'm just gonna call everybody in
Yeah.
to this one park to kill this one guy. Like, also that was like so ridiculous. By the way, that was also super ridiculous, over the top, and that's
It
why
was.
like I didn't need him to be even more dark and sadistic, because like his character was actually super like funny and like
And that's
over
part
the
of it.
top. It was over the top, which made a great contrast to Ryan Gosling's character, who was actually who you would, because he's so cold, you would actually assume he's the more sadistic, darker one, the quieter one, or whatever. But he's actually our hero. So
Yeah, he was
I
super.
liked him in contrast.
Yeah, Gosling was super straight laced, and like you said, I agree. I think Chris Evans' character was more kind of weird, douchey, sadistic comic relief than anything. He was funny and annoying because he was purposely trying to be so.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
I
think,
have to say,
Andrea?
I'm between like the two of your views because I
Okay.
do believe like I feel like they set him up as a character to state that we know he's capable of going further. Like it's not a question of if he goes further, it's a question of when he goes further,
True.
if he's allowed to. But I think that he has shown that, like, I agree with Jordan. He's shown that his disregard for other human life, because he was like, kill anyone who gets in your way. Like, not even just like the police officers, like, just kill anyone who gets in your way. And they would have killed anyone. And it sort of shows that he doesn't really care about anyone else but what is paying his job. Like, what's paying his fees is what he cares about. So I think I'm like sort of between the two views of that one.
Okay.
Oh,
This is the first
also,
time I
oh,
ever
go
hated
ahead.
his character.
Really?
It was
I
this was
didn't like. I loved him in Knives
character.
Out, but he was mad annoying as well in this. He was like almost the same character to me in a way, but just a level up, and also like
He was more charming though in Knives Out.
oh, he had to be though.
Yeah, he did
He
have
had
to
to
be
be.
more
He
charming
actually
in
had to
Knives
be.
Out.
He was just.
But in
If
this one,
everyone's watching Knives, yeah, he was off the rails.
I was like, just please, someone get him off my screen. Like,
Oh,
this is the first time I was like, I don't want to look at you, Chris Evans.
right.
Can I just stop? Can you stop breathing? Stop breathing, please. Just stop, because you're pissing me off.
Yeah, because he made me mad. Like the way he disregarded other mercenaries. That was another thing. And I'm like, you're an asshole, bro. Like shot homeboy, which was so quick. Just tap, 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 walks in. What was that? I don't even remember the guy's name. The guy who's taking the photos for Ryan Gosling. And
Oh,
then like
yeah,
how he just walks in and just asks him where he's at.
Oh yeah,
Dude
the dude
asks for his
that trapped him.
money.
Yeah, the guy that
And
trapped
then
him.
just three taps, and dude looked like he didn't even see it coming. I was like, you don't care. Like that's when I was like, yeah, Ryan Gosling, he's that villain. That was
Chris
Chris
Evans.
Evans.
wow. He's Chris Evans. Chris Evans. I was like, geez, bro, I don't like you.
But I have to say, the contrast between Chris Evans' character and Ryan Gosling's character, because it seems like Chris Evans is excited to do his job, and Ryan Gosling seems bored and annoyed the entire time that he has to keep doing this.
He's constantly grunting.
He's like, why? Okay. It's like, it's his job, but he's like, it's like how we go to work on Monday. It's like, all right, it's our job. Let's do it. And Ryan's just like going through the motions to survive and get the job done. And Chris Evans is like enjoying the whole act of killing. And Ryan's like, this is another Thursday. Like, I'm tired. I want to go home. I would like to sleep in the car, please. Get in the trunk. I would like to sleep. So,
what did you guys think of the action?
I liked it.
I'll let Andrea go first.
I liked it. I liked it. There were definitely some unbelievable parts to it. Especially the whole shooting scenes, the fight scenes that were happening, like him coming out of the water out of nowhere, just randomly, just automatically at the top. After like being in the well or the ditch. I think it was a little bit more believable in like movie world. Definitely could have been better, but I liked it. For what it was, I liked it. Because it was supposed to be subtle, so they weren't trying to draw attention to them when he was having his one-on-one fights.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it.
A grace to it.
I enjoyed it. I just, like, again, there was nothing new, really. But I did enjoy the wrappings that they gave us and the action that they did give us. There wasn't anything that really stood out that, like, sometimes somebody, this is some bull because it's so over the top. Come on, man. I didn't have any moments like that, even though, like you said, of course, it may be as close to realistic as they get, considering what Hollywood does with the fantastical nature of fight scenes we've seen. What about you, Jordan?
So for me, I think the first scene we get with them were they in Beijing?
I can't remember
The opening scene.
Yeah.
They, I kind of loved how Ryan Gosling just like dispatched the Sierra Forest henchmen, like
The
just
guards, yeah.
quietly picking up objects. Like, I think he stabs one guy with like one of his chopsticks, grabs a knife, then he grabs like a champagne bottle, and then they kind of go into this fight in this kind of like area where they're launching fireworks, like giant fireworks.
Yeah, that was funny.
And that scene was like so for that scene I was kind of conflicted because it was like visually this is colorful but hard to read, just like how they were kind of in this close quarters combat. There's a lot of smoke everywhere. But I appreciated that it was kind of something different, like this different kind of close combat environment. And then when we get to the plane scene, I was like,
Yeah.
where is this? Like that's when I was like, oh, this is over the top. And then that's when I was like, you can't take this that seriously. So I just like I loved how Ryan knew that they were on to him, had the fire extinguisher pointed, ready to go. I do, and then the fight breaks out, and he picks up the colored smoke grenade and he starts throwing it at everybody, and eventually the plane breaks apart.
Yeah.
And I'm
They're going
like,
to be the worst Spec Ops team ever.
it's really wrong. Okay, they're the worst Spec Ops thing. Yeah, they were not.
I mean, you get took out by one dude. You're supposed to be special.
But he's not just that. But he's more special than them, right? You know that he's the gray man.
I have to say, for the plane scene, I had like two theories about that. One, that he fell asleep like that, so that he never really, like, he was resting his eyes but wasn't really sleeping, and he was prepared to fight back if they turned on him.
Oh no, he had to. No. That's what you do in that line of work.
He did, like, quote unquote trust them because of who set it up for him. But when he heard the whole "come again," he realized something.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, oh, he knew. I was like, my man's knew. And now that part, I wasn't in disbelief. It was just like the actual fight choreography me was just so, like, just the action. It was wild. I enjoyed it. It was like, oh, this is a roller coaster. This is great. We're gonna watch this plane fall apart. Then kick a dude out into the propeller, explodes, and then of course, that makes everything worse. And then the part where we get to him actually fighting the guy, I think he jumps out the plane, and another guy has a shoot, and he's actually fighting the guy. And this is when the camera gets really ridiculous. Like, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to read this because the camera's constantly spinning around the one guy while Ryan is wrapping him up and trying to choke him. It was very complicated. And I'm like, this is a lot, but I see what y'all are doing. I'm like, I'm sticking with y'all here. But this was interesting. It's very interesting. And also throughout the film, the Russo brothers did something very interesting with this like drone camera that's constantly whipping around corners and like kind of like following the character, which is very cool. Like, that was something I hadn't seen in a while in the film, just like really taking advantage of a drone camera and doing some fun stuff with it. So that was dope. How'd y'all feel about the what is it, fight scene in the park, the square in which location?
Is that the one where
was that Prague?
Where he was handcuffed to the bench?
Yes, that was. And let's pass along. So how
long did it take you to shoot one person handcuffed?
My favorite part was when, like, he finally he's like grunting because he can't get the gun. He finally gets the gun. He shoots, kills the one guy. Click. Tries to shoot his wrist. He's like, and I'm like, that's hilarious. I'm like, you didn't count your bullets, buddy. I was like, It's all good. It's been a long Thursday. It's been a long day. And I'm like, man, this is what it's like.
That was a funny line, though. It's just another Thursday.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Andrea.
No, I was saying, yeah, this is another Thursday. He's like us. This is his job. Like, oh my God, okay, I gotta go fight these people on this day. All right, I'll be home for dinner. Like, to him, it's a job.
You know what I kind of really appreciate is that Billy Bob Thornton's character's niece, didn't annoy me in this movie.
She didn't annoy you?
She didn't annoy you?
No.
This is weird. This don't make no sense.
I won't say she did it until the end, but explain your point. Explain your point.
I mean, of course, she's young. It just wasn't as like obvious as most other TV shows and movies do with a young kind of inhibited character. She was annoying when she, didn't want to leave and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, that was annoying.
But her introduction, like, you weren't annoyed by her. She was chill.
She was chill, but I wasn't annoyed by her doing blatantly dumb things repeatedly, like not wanting to leave. I can understand the emotionality of the moment of losing her uncle, not wanting to leave, and kind of ignoring the danger going on around you. Like, it's obvious you need to get your ass up out of here. We ain't got time for this. He gone. Let's go. But I think it's more overt than a lot of other shows that we've seen in similar situations where it's just overkill.
You're right. I'll take that back because I think it's because the fact that this wasn't her first time she was exposed to killings around her. Because like we saw that Six, when he babysat her, had to like dispose of some people and stuff. So it wasn't her first time being in that world, and she probably understands that her uncle's in that world. But so I get what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. She wasn't annoying when she was first kidnapped and all that stuff. To me, she only really became annoying during like the final fight scene, and I was just like, please, honey, just understand.
She's in the way. She was like she was in the way. That's I guess that's Andrea why we reacted so viciously together. Like, you weren't annoyed, like.
But yeah, no,
like, bro, like she was annoying at the end. Like, what crazy? She is. I loved when they're first introduced to, and he's babysitting. Sierra 6 is babysitting her in like. After, of course, someone shows up in the house and he has to fight the random assassin, and then she just comes out. I know you saw that foot. She's like, she sees that foot, and I'm like, yeah. Oh, you're real calm about this, you little girl. I'm like, okay, wow.
It was funny because the morbid shock on her face. She's like,
but
he's not looking like, hey, ain't nothing to worry about. It's just another Thursday. He's like kicking it. It would have been funny if he like kicked the feet behind the killer real quick. Don't worry about it. Going back in the room and eat a Rice Krispie treat or something. I'll be back in a second and clean something up real quick.
So I was like, okay. I mean, she had that look on her face, but like, had she screamed anything dramatic, I'm like, oh, you're annoying. You would have been an annoying character. But I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, let's get to the. So, but how did you feel about her? I guess how did you feel about her introduction to the story? Because I was initially watching, I was kind of like, I was nervous about
talking about the niece.
The niece.
Okay.
I was kind of worried because I'm like, all right, why is she pivotal to the story? How's this going to work with pacing and kind of moving back and forth between the past and the present?
I think it was kind of obvious they were setting her up to be a plot device when the uncle mentioned that she had a pacemaker, and there was somehow this like geolocation where they'd basically be able to find this pacemaker no matter where it was. I'm like, oh, okay, so something's gonna happen, and Ryan Gosling's character is gonna use the GPS to find this pacemaker when they eventually take her. So they were kind of foreshadowing a little too hard, letting us know what was gonna happen with that.
Okay. Andrea?
I liked when they introduced her for the fact that it gave. Because I was trying to figure out without her, how would this story work? Because like, why would he care enough to go and confront them at the end? Because he could have just and escaped. And so when we see the niece, and then like we learn a little bit more about Ryan's background, about why Six's background, about why he did what he did, what landed him in jail in the first place. We see that he does have a caring nature, because like so far throughout the show, the movie, he has this almost bored tone to taking care of everything, and it's just like, well, why would he care that they took your niece? Why would he be okay with with having his extraction team kill him, why would he be okay with you doing that? Like, oh, okay, he understands. Okay. So it made him seem a little bit less detached than what his character portrays.
Yeah, it humanized him more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because like without her, he could just disappear. There wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that contrast between two killers and one of them has a heart and one of them doesn't.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
He's just a cat at that point before he gets some emotionality. You know, a cat just stares at you with no emotion at all. Like, doesn't care either way what happens.
Keep
just
saying
looking
this
at
about
you.
cats.
That's him.
They're evil.
That's not all
even
cats.
she was trying to get some rise out of him when she was talking to him.
Cats are evil. Sorry.
I can't. We're not. This is not about cats, y'all. This is about the gray man. You're not going to upset me right now. Talk about all cats evil. We're here to talk about Ryan.
But you see how she was trying to kind of get a rise out of him and discuss things with him and get him to open up, and he was just like, he was deadpan the whole time.
Yeah.
He was talking about his name, and she was sitting on his jacket. She was doing anything trying to get a little rise out of him, and he just, at first, he wasn't taking the bait, and he kind of smirks at her kind of at the end. He finally shows some emotionality. I guess that's also her purpose. So yeah, it was good. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something that we didn't talk about this half, which is pretty interesting, and since we mentioned the fight scenes. We'll talk to you in a second. Be right back. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake. I'm joined once again by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
And Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
We are continuing our talk about the Gray Man. What did you guys think about the Tamil guy, the guy, the
Hey. Why are you making that face like you don't know who Tamil was? He's out here throwing hands. Threw
with the suit and the sports
he
car.
Literally threw homegirl all the time.
The lone wolf?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
why are you calling him Tamil?
Because that's where he was from. Remember, that's what Chris.
Yeah, that's what they kept referencing. They kept saying that. They kept saying it's from.
I was in my mind. I have him as a lone wolf. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. He was the lone wolf. Yeah, but Chris Evans referred to him as my Tamir friend or something like that when he gets off the phone with him.
I liked his fight scenes.
Yeah, he was whooping them. He was whooping them both like simultaneously.
Like he would have won if they kept fighting. Like
he's like, I can wreck all y'all.
In them, he would have won.
Yeah. It was obvious, and like if he hadn't have found his sense of honor because Chris Evans' character went a little too far when he was going to, kill indiscriminately at that point. He was like, he's like, look, you're going to get paid. Just shut up and mind your business. And then when he gets upset, and he's like, don't pay him.
Yeah, that's when I was like, yo, why you like, bro did his job. Like, why you keep doing these other mercenaries dirty? I'm like, you're gonna deserve to die. Andrea's right. You deserve to die. Like, you deserve to die. Like, you, right? Is this the type of stuff Lloyd would do? Is that what Boba Fett would do with people? But like, I'm just not gonna pay you.
No.
He said, not even. You're like, not even Boba wouldn't even do that. That's but yeah, Lloyd was.
Lloyd he was whooping them both though. He was whooping them both, and he like Andrea's right. He clearly. Like they weren't going to win had he stayed on their team, and he was like, you know what, I'm out. This ain't my fight no more, and I have a sense of honor. I'm gonna stick to that code. Y'all can hash this out, and he gives the thumb drive back to him after taking
I was surprised by that. I'm like, wait, are we really gonna stop the fight now over moral codes here? I'm like, didn't expect that. Usually, we
what did y'all think of the brother from Bridgerton? As the villain.
Yeah, your boy, Andrea, getting on my nerves. These are criminals. These are criminals. He's so annoying.
I was waiting to talk about him.
These are criminals.
I needed him dead. I wanted her to backhand him. He deserved.
Caesar?
He deserved a backhand. He deserved a curb stomp. He deserved to be shot. That boy.
I kind of like the backhand.
He's worse than Lloyd because he thinks he's Lloyd without doing the work. He makes everyone else do the actions. If they fail, he throws them under the bus and says, I'm not going to let people drag me down. when the people you hired failed, that means you failed because you're not a good team leader. And he's, oh my gosh, I hated that boy. Like, I just
You notice?
shoot his face. We don't need to see him anymore.
Susan said they had a bromance. They're probably very similar. That's why they.
But Lloyd got his hands dirty. He didn't. Carmichael didn't get his hands dirty, and that's why I had even less respect for him than I did for Lloyd, because he was reaping the benefits of everyone else's hard work, acting like he actually did something. No, you were. It comes to hands, your butt's getting knocked out. That's why you're not going to confront him face to face, and that's why you're sending everyone else out, because you know if it comes face to face with you in 6, you're dead. But you want to act like this big old macho man because you sit behind a desk. A bullet's not going to stop anything. You're still going to die. You're not invincible.
He should have got shot.
Hated that man.
He was going to let everybody hang out to dry. Even the other agent that was close. I think all 3 of them supposedly went to Harvard. Is what
they all went to school together.
Yeah, that's what Susan said, and she said they had a bromance.
Right, so yeah, he was gonna he's gonna leave everybody hanging in the wind when this crap hit the fan. He wasn't gonna take responsibility for nothing. He's like, yeah, that's them. They messed this up. I was trying to you can turn them real quick. I was trying to tell them, boss. I was trying to
Danny, shut up, Danny.
I think the only thing that was really lacking in this movie, and this is gonna sound maybe, I don't know, because I'm just ranting about it. She should have killed him in the end and blamed it on 6. When 6 escaped and they were all like going and searching for him, that would have been a perfect shot for him to like miraculously die. And because she's already
that would have been great.
She's already blaming Lloyd's death on 6 when she's the one who did it. She wants Carmichael out of the way because he doesn't respect her. He doesn't. He tolerates her, and she thinks she has control. She doesn't. The smart thing would have been to everyone separate, and he gets a double tap to the back of his head, and they blame it on 6.
But she's more of a dog than he is, and he needs a rabid dog on the leash. Lloyd was that, and he would take things really far. So I think between the 2 of them, like you said, he's not getting his hands dirty. She is. Like she pulled the trigger. And he knows I can't. If he's one of those people that thinks he's smarter than everybody, but I can't take it that far, then he needs someone with the hands to pull the trigger close to him in his vicinity, because he can't do it himself.
No, he cannot. Little baby.
So I guess he did his job then. If you're that annoyed,
right?
Oh yeah, they did a good job.
The Russo brothers did a great job of giving us these annoying villains. Because man, they were annoying.
And that's what makes them good villains, because I don't always need a redeemable villain. If they're the bad guy, they're the bad guy. I don't need a reason to like them or support them or whatever, because then I'm like, oh, I'm rooting for the bad guy to win. No, he's literally the bad guy. Let him be the bad guy. So that makes him a good bad guy. And it's actually very interesting because there's still some times that I can't get past the actor and I still love their character, because I'm like, I love the actor so much because they're just that, I love that actor that much. But this time it's like, oh no, y'all did too good of a job. I don't want to see your face. Shave that mustache. If I see one that is on site, like you're Lloyd when you have that mustache, Chris, and I can't respect it.
Yeah, that stash.
That honestly was throwing me. The 70s porn mustache was throwing me off. And then he had them little tight polos the whole time. I'm like, this dude is hammering it up.
And he had no socks. The white pants, no socks. Yeah, no.
Socks. He had fun with this role. He had so much fun. But
he did. He looked like.
He had the little super preppy douchebag going with the polos and the mustache. The whole get-up was all over the top to me, kind of in a weird way.
Chris was meant for this.
He was. He did such a great job playing an a-hole.
Even when he was injured, he was still like, look at my hand. He was...
Yo, that had me dying. Oh, when he got tranquilized. Hilarious.
Because I was shot in the Susan.
Damn it, Susan. That's just the dynamic between here. Like, Susan, you're getting on my nerves. Like, he was very pissed off with Susan all the time for just existing as a woman. That's clearly what that's how it felt. It was. He was like, you're just get out of my face.
Whose medication did he take off the desk? When he, I got shot in the ass, Susan. That's why. And then he was like asking for Vicodin, and he found. Like randomly, he was searching around and found like a bottle of pills right there and walked off with it. And now this will do.
So, I had a point. I forgot my point.
Uh-oh.
No, so going towards the infighting scene. What did you think of Anna's character like throughout this entire movie? Because I'm still trying to decide, besides the fact that she was a supporting character to Ryan, to like basically helping him get through. What did you think of her character as a whole? Like, do you think they fully fleshed her character out, or was she just literally there as a support character?
She was pretty much a side character, but they kind of ingrained her motivation into the part. Like her whole thing was that her reputation was sullied. She had to go all the way with this to try and redeem her credentials. Is at the point where she's basically a fugitive, just like Six is. Um, but she's clearly on the side, but she's very still integral to get things moving. Like her pulling the kind of Rambo stuff. She's running around being the diversion around the keep
She was
all
going
the
in. She was
fortress.
going
Yeah,
in. See, I like that.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of like that. We kind of like we don't get much from her in the beginning of the film. Like we got some fight scenes, some small hand-to-hand combat, but like as the film progresses, I'm like, this woman is clearly very skilled. I mean, we're not all they weren't good enough to fight lone wolf guy, but
No.
they were skilled, and I was like, okay, so Anna's character can hold her own in a fight, and I was like, just to see kind of her like go, as Rod said, go Rambo at the end. I was like, I'm like, she's letting these grenade launchers go off. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, nice.
And she was pissed at him for throwing her the empty rifle.
Oh, that! Oh my
Don't throw a
goodness!
loaded gun.
Don't throw a loaded gun. Don't throw. Can we unpack this later? Can we just unpack this later? I'm like, yo, that's hilarious.
Okay, we'll come back to that one quick second, because I have to say I like the fact that they made her motivation not Ryan's motivation. Her motivation was clearly to clear her name, and I like that. I agree with you, Rod. That it was clearly like, look, you're about to get me fired, and I'm not going to accept that. So we're going to get whatever the thing is, turn it in, or do whatever we have to do so I can clear my name and go back to work. And so it showed that while he was doing this for somewhat personal reasons, hers was like strictly professional. And we don't always see that with female characters. It's always like they are doing whatever the guy wants to do because they trust him. And I like that this was a female character who was effing stuff up purely because she's like, look, you're not ruining my job. So let's do what we got to do to make sure I can go back to work on Monday.
Yeah, she had motivations that were purely her own and not something just adjacent to, like you said, what the main character wants. She's like, y'all done messed my life up and turned it upside down, so I'm here now. So what we gonna do?
Yeah. And to add on to that, I think like even like when we see kind of Denny kind of interrogating her, it's like, oh shit. Like she really like she kind of like that kind of really supplements like like y'all were saying, like her job is on the line, and so her motivation. Also, I felt like kind of her motivation was also to do the right thing. I kind of felt like she wanted to do the right thing as well. It wasn't just like, but yeah, like y'all said, she wasn't. Her mission was not the same as Ryan Gosling trying to save this girl and his sort of dad. So.
And she had no ties to Six at all. Even when, like you said, with Denny,
right? I don't even know.
Her, she's like, well, "What's your relationship?" She's like, "I just met Six when we got there. Like, there's no history with us. What are you talking
if
about?"
this was poorly written, if this was another poorly written movie, it would have been like they were in a relationship. Someone would have forced it to be a relationship, then it would have been like, come on.
And they had broken up years ago.
Right.
And I like that there was no romance between them. I like that there was like none.
Yes.
No kissing, no forced romance, no fake.
None,
It was
no.
You good? I'm good. All right, deuces. We're out. Bye. Yep. But back to the unpacking scene of him throwing the unloaded weapon, because the first time I watched it through, I missed the fact that he actually was about to go and throw her the ammo. And so at first I thought he was messing with. He didn't trust her with it. But on the second go around, I purposely watched for it. So he threw her the gun, and then it goes back to him, and he had the ammo, and he's like, and so he was about to throw it to her, but she had already run off.
She dipped. He was adamant not throwing loaded guns.
Because I missed it the first time too. I was like, did you just not trust her? Like, why did you throw her a unloaded gun? Like, why would you do that? He's like, he's very serious. No one throws
the funny part is like I was so caught up in like her journey. Like I was like with her, so I'm like, she's moving fast. She has the gun, and then when we finally get to the part where she tries to shoot, I'm like, Jesus, Ryan, you forgot the ammo, Ryan. Why? And I'm like, this woman had the shot. And then apparently she was in the way of his shot. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And Lone Wolf was taking the cops out.
Oh yeah.
When he stopped, he tried to play and put his hands up like, oh my God, he's just over there. And he gets up and starts whooping up. I'm like, damn, well, he don't care either. He's just taking the cops out.
He's like, I gotta get out of here, yo. Can't be arrested out here.
Learned from like trying to take in Ryan, who did the exact same thing of fake giving in. In the beginning, when they took Ryan in, he fought back at first.
Yeah.
And then when they handcuffed him, they were like, "Shut up!" And the guy reached out a hand, or Ryan grabbed him and pulled him forward, grabbed his gun. Like you would think,
yes.
Like, hey, let's be a little bit more on our guards because we lost a whole bunch of cops today. There was a huge shootout. This guy may be involved, and they were all tactical. And he jumped out of a window.
I was thinking, like, did anybody see that? I'm like, did anybody see that? Like, maybe it was so much stuff happening, you just never saw it. I don't know.
I'm like, guys, be a little bit more on guard with the fact that, like, keep your guns trained on him as, like, just, I don't know. I felt like the cops, I mean, granted,
this movie made fun of the cops.
Know how to go against they're probably not going to know how to go against, like, highly trained assassins who do this as their full-time job.
I mean,
but,
that's
like,
true.
I would have fired a shot at least.
Yeah. With like low-level foot soldiers or local police, I understand. That's kind of where my gripe comes in when you're with supposedly the upper echelon of special forces on a military transport, secretly getting you extracted from one country to another. Then they get a little less leeway, which is why I was like, he just took all y'all out. Like, what? They don't need the whole group. Just send him. If that's the case, save some money. Just send one person for the job. You don't need a group of 4 or 5 people.
Never. You just need gray men. Just handle the job solo. So kind of, I guess, how did everyone feel about how we got to the ending? Our ending fight scene.
You mean the one at the house, right? In Virginia? The guarded house? Or the one between Lloyd and Ryan?
No, that doesn't count. That whatever you no.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That was like the end of the movie. So
I wouldn't even look at that as a fight scene. That's a rescue. But the end fight scene, the end climax.
Rod, to go first because I'm trying to formulate my thoughts.
If the other agent had intervened, it seemed to me that Ryan would have ultimately lost that one. He had him in the water fountain.
Wait, no, what do you mean? Ryan had homeboy in the headlock. Ryan was going to win that fight.
Didn't he get shot? Didn't she shoot him? Was it during the headlock that she shoots him?
Yes, Ryan shoots. Ryan has Chris in the headlock.
Okay.
And Susan takes a shot. We're going to start referring to the actress. What's her name? Hennick? What's her name?
So 6 has Lloyd in the headlock, and Susan shoots Lloyd while he's in the headlock, and then she shoots 6 after
in the thigh or something.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, I liked it.
Go ahead.
It went back and forth. It was predictable though, for the most part, with the exception of I didn't know a girl was going to shoot him.
Yep.
I shoot both of them. I didn't know she was going to shoot both of them.
Yeah, that one threw me off. I'm like, we got this triumphant music playing over. The fight scene had a nice flow to it. And then
wow, I lost.
Right, I was like, oh well, I was expecting that. I'm like, finally, cool. The woman came over here and
thank you, please, thank you. He just wanted to rest.
Yeah, it was cool that the woman just came by and just be like, yep, guys, I can just shoot this guy and it's a wrap. Guys, you guys are looking stupid over here fighting in this fountain. But I'm glad she took care of the problem.
Yeah.
I liked the scene for the pure fact that still the entire time Ryan Six held his "this is another Thursday" attitude throughout the entire fight. Like even before it started, this is just another Thursday. And then during it, like Lloyd is killed. He's like, okay, great. Like gets shot. He's like, can I at least sit down over there? I just feel like this entire movie was literally, it was another week for him, and he's just like, I'm tired. I just want to sit down, please. Just go sit down.
I just want to go to sleep in my bed. I just want to sleep. I think he said earlier in the film, like when
After he
Anna
got
was
tranked,
tranquilized, it was the most sleep. Did he say like that's the most sleep I've gotten in a while? I was like,
like
dang,
in
bro.
36 hours.
Yeah, I was like, jeez. I'm like, man, he's probably slept for like 2 hours.
What did y'all
But
think of
yeah.
Alfred Woodard's sacrifice? Were you really connected with that, or were you not?
Oh well, you open up the.
I liked it.
I'm gonna let
I
Andrea go
liked it
first.
for the pure fact that she went out on her own terms because she was already sick. She was already
Yeah.
dying. And she was like, look, I'm not about to run from these people. I'm gonna die anyway. She took people out with her. So
Yeah.
she doesn't like go out for the sake of going out, like for the sake of killing herself. Because I always hate sacrifices that never amount to anything, that never
Yeah.
really help the cause. Like I'm going to slow them down, but she didn't do anything. But she did. She did like take out an entire team at once. So I like that she went out on her own terms because she wanted to. Because she could have escaped if she wanted to.
Yeah.
I liked it. I just liked it for the fact that she was like, look, I don't like Carmichael. I don't like his men. I don't like Lloyd. So I'm gonna die anyway because I have this sickness. I'm just gonna take a whole bunch of people with me.
And her little Audi
I didn't
wasn't
like
as bulletproof as she is advertised because it was holes and shit all through that thing when they got through with the car chase.
I'll be honest. Alfred Woodard's death was. I wanted to kind of redeem it, but honestly, I was like, this feels like this is just once again a black person is sacrificing himself for the white hero. That's just I couldn't move around it in my mind. I'm like, her character, yes, Andrea, yes, she killed herself on her own terms. But at the same time, I'm like, still, this is just once again a plot. This is a plot device, and I'm like, I like this character. She shows up. Well, one more. They introduce her in the same scene they introduce the niece. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's when we first see her. So I was just like, oh, so they just bring her. They show us then, and they show us 2 years in the past, and they bring her back for her to die. So I'm like, I didn't really like it. No, I didn't like it. I was
I wasn't
just didn't
bothered
have
by
to be
it.
there. Didn't have to be there.
I wasn't bothered by it. I agree, because of her kind of lore within the movie of her being sick and on. Like, I'd rather go out this way than die to this disease anyway. So you gave me a way to do that and kind of kill two birds with one stone, pun intended. Uh, Many birds actually.
Yeah, she
I
went
like
out
it.
with a bang for sure, but I'm like, we didn't really have to be in this one because she's kind of
So,
no, they killed a bunch, killed a bunch of black mercenaries in this movie. Eh,
yeah.
so she
What
was,
what
yeah,
what
I didn't
rating
feel
are you
like she
giving
needed to be
this?
there, but it was good. I was very entertained.
It wasn't perfect, so I can't give it a 10.
No.
No.
It was because there were issues with it.
Sure.
So I can't give it a 10, but it was definitely more than a 7 in my book because like I watched it every time I watched it. I didn't have the only scene I fast forward through was when he was getting his nails ripped out, just because I just didn't want to see that part. But it's very few movies where I can watch from the beginning to the end without having to like fast forward through like boring parts because I don't really care to see it.
That is
And I've
weird.
seen it like 5 times, and I still enjoy it every single time I watch it from the
Yeah.
beginning to the end, except the nail pulling scene because other reasons. I'll give it a 7.8
Okay.
Seems very low for a movie you could rewatch. Okay.
because it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
It wasn't. There were still some things lacking. There wasn't as much character development as there could have been for
It's
certain
an
characters.
action movie.
Yeah.
This
I
is a
know that.
goofy, over the top action movie.
But it checked a lot of my boxes, but it didn't check all of them. It's still
Okay.
enjoyable. I can watch it, and have fun while I'm watching it. But I can still pick another movie over it.
Yeah.
If if it's between this movie and Jurassic Park, I'm still gonna watch Jurassic Park. So
I'm not watching dumb Jurassic
I'm
Park.
right at it. I'm right at it.
Don't talk about one of my favorite movies like that.
That movie was stupid. What's Jurassic Park? Hold on, Rod. What's Jurassic Park?
What's your rating? No.
The first
We're not talking about that movie. Rod, what'd you say?
I'm right at a 7.
7?
Mainly because I enjoyed it, but like I said, a couple things held it back from being like a B to me. So I'm right at a 7.
Okay, I'm gonna go 8.5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Got you guys. Gotcha. I mean, the movie was not taking itself too seriously. It was a popcorn flick for sure. And it followed through with that. So it was a lot of high octane action. I kind of harken this back to just like 90s action movies where you have this over the top story and this character, and it's not too super serious, but this movie felt like that in the 2022. So I had a great time with it. Great action. It was fun. The All the characters for the most part were great. They were all great. Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Anna de Armas. Who else? Jessica Henwick. Who's the guy who plays Denny? How do you say his name, Andrea?
Who
Do you
plays
know how
who?
to? Denny Carmichael, Bridgerton guy.
Oh,
Is his name
Reg?
Reg?
You know it.
Roger? How do you say his name? So they all did a Roger. I don't know what it is, but like all of the
he
all
wasn't
the
my favorite Bridgerton scene.
Okay.
He wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
So.
All right. They all did an amazing job, like with the roles they were given. Camera cinematography was great, on point. Nice camera angles. So it was a good action movie. It was a good good action movie. It did what it needed to do.
It was that. My only thing, like I said, was I wanted Chris Evans to go a little further, which might be just a petty pick, coming from me, and it wasn't really giving us anything new or innovative for me to put it up at the 8 or 9 mark. I want something new when we're watching things that we're watching repeatedly, like movies in this genre, in this vein of action, spy versus spy film. Give me something new, and I could put you up there in that 8 or 9 category.
I will say, I do like that it was not really a remake or a reboot.
That is true.
I have to say that because I feel like everything we're getting now is a remake, a reboot, or a continuation of the same world as something else.
That's right. And
I think of this like I think of the Kingsman. It's like a new idea. Granted, has it been done before? Yes, but at least it's not a reboot.
The last Kingsman movie was interesting, actually. Never mind.
Well,
I'm very thankful for that.
Once again for discussing these things with me.
Of course.
2 or 3 of y'all that caught us on the lives, we appreciate you taking your time out to watch us discuss these things. Don't forget to check us out on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other places where the Askari Cast is. And also don't forget, what's the new one now for Andrea? I know it's not, is it still Trekking Beyond?
It's Trekking Beyond, and now we're exploring Strange New Worlds.
Okay. With Andrea Rose Washington and Monica Pinkett. Don't forget to catch them also on Anchor, Spotify, and other places where podcasts are broadcast. And we will check you out next week.
Peace.
Deuces.